So this is going to be a preview to the workshop that we are doing next week. I'm going to let each of the two co-presenters, co-facilitators share a little bit about themselves. Kevin?
Yeah, so just really quickly about me, you know, my real passion is all about helping people to connect deeply with the mind and the body and to really build community around that. So, you know, whether I'm doing that in the academic community, you know, in the yoga community, training teachers, you know, or building it at the intentional living community that I'm living in right now. Those are my goals. So hopefully I'm with a like-minded group here too, and excited to be here with all of you.
I have to say, Kevin's doing his dissertation on presence and communication with spiritual communication and presence. So that's a big part of what we're going to be talking about today. Johanna?
Hi, everybody, and welcome. I'm so glad that you can join us today. So my name is Joanna Tano. I'm from Ohio, and I'm the executive director of a wellness conference. And really just, you know, excited about today. I love, you know, coming together and connecting and finding those opportunities to communicate and kind of get out of what's going on around us and focus on each other. So this is a really, really great opportunity. So glad to be with Joel and Kevin.
Yeah, and they're going to help facilitate, and also you'll see Cynthia's here with us too. She'll be in a breakout room to assist us today as well. So the objectives for today is that you'll be able to identify different meanings of mindfulness, do a quick assessment of interpersonal mindfulness, and identify 7 different paths. So the whole idea here is that people say with everything that's going on in the world, there's no silver bullet. All the conflict, all the polarization, all the reactivity to COVID-19. And I'm here to tell you that there is a silver bullet, and this is it, okay? So listen up, folks, because this is it. First, most approaches to mindfulness are geared at the individual level, but we know that there's such a thing as community mindfulness, social mindfulness. It's not only about our own personal growth, but the enlightenment of the community as a whole. We are never separate from each other, and if anything, COVID-19 has made that very clear. And this insight is fundamental to any effective well-being effort. So this is an experiential workshop that we're going to be doing starting next week. We hope you join us. You'll see in the chat box, there is a way for you to register. There is a discount code, and there's a scholarship application as well. So I hope you go ahead and get that, and we'll be repeating that at the end. You'll be invited to complete surveys, and you'll be contemplating these 7 different paths. These are the 7 paths. I'm just going to read them very quickly now. We're going to get to them eventually. The values clarifier. And as you listen, maybe in your mind right now, think, which one am I? Now, types are just a door in. They're just a door to have the discussion. So are you a values clarifier, an intentional centerer, a heedful relator, a compassionate nudger, a knower of impact, a garnerer of trust, or a thriver? Because what we're doing here is we're building a positive interpersonal mindset. And good Lord, we need one. Okay, so here they are. And what we're going to be doing is leading up to them with what are the fundamental qualities that can bring these types and activate them in our relationships, in our families, in our communities, in our political discussions, civil discourse, on and on and on. So let's start the conversation. We're going to go into a breakout room in a minute, and I'm going to lead you into that. Why are you here? Well, first and foremost, we're surrounded by all of these stimuli, right? Whether we choose to react to those stimuli or respond mindfully to those stimuli is what this is all about. What are those stimuli? Well, I don't know all about you, but I'm seeing all kinds of stimuli in our world right now. You know, there's reactions to COVID. There's everything that's happening with racial strife. There's these monkeys in the lower left-hand corner, right? And there's social media, right? So you could, in the chat box right now, if you want to start engaging with us, which one of these is causing you the most stress right now? If you want to start interacting. But the truth is, when we stop, when we pause, when we reflect, we have an opportunity to really look at what's going on and find a more mindful way of responding to that. And that's what we're going to be doing here. That's what we're inviting you all to do today. You'll have a taste of it, and the workshop goes into it much more depth. So we're going to be asking you to stop, pause, and reflect. Okay, everybody cool with that? But first we have to give information, right? So people want information, so we're going to do that. So this is a door, and this door is one we can open that allows us to go through all this surrounding barrage of distraction, fragmentation, and reactivity. This door is about finding our inner response and moving away from that outer reactivity. And when you see that outer reactivity, when you see all this negativity and polarized discussion, oh, hey, wait, I need to find my inner response. So this door has many names. There's not one name for this door. There are many approaches. I was trained as a mediator, so I'm very familiar with that. I've been working in nonviolent communication. We're going to call it interpersonal mindfulness today. So it's about us traveling together on the same path that we're already on. Just like Dorothy, we're on the yellow brick road, people. Who here is the scarecrow? Where is the Tin Man? Okay, yay, Julie, right? Who's the lion, right? So we're on this path. And Martin Luther King said, which is amazing because it's directly connected to the whole theme of The Wizard of Oz. We must learn to live together as brothers or sisters, let's be clear about that, or perish together as fools. And this all comes from Buddhism, that he said that the entire spiritual life is about good friendship, good companionship, good comradeship, that we have to cultivate good friends, good companions on the road. And truthfully, we can all do that with everybody. So we're going to go into breakout rooms here. And in these breakout rooms, I'm going to ask you to talk for a little bit about your reason for being here. Okay? You want to quickly summarize, Kevin, what did your group share?
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad to be with this group. Like, you know, I think there's something so powerful about hearing someone's story, and just everyone's story was so powerful, but Laura really summarized the thing that really spoke to me, which was this idea of like learning how to not just be reacting to the things that are happening in our life, but to really have a conscious choice. And I think finding how to do that interpersonally when we show up, I think that's how we create peace. That's how we change the world. So that was really a powerful story, but everyone had great things to say.
Great, thank you. Cynthia? What'd your group share?
Yeah, basically, you know, the theme was everyone was just really interested in learning more about the concept of interpersonal mindfulness. You know, we hear, I think, a lot about mindfulness lately, but the concept of interpersonal is, I think, a really interesting kind of spin on mindfulness. Angela mentioned that she started a new position and she's feeling that she wants to be able to relate to her coworkers a little better. So she thought it would be helpful to learn more about how to relate with others, how to listen better. So I think people are just really excited to learn more about this.
Beautiful, thanks. Johanna?
Yes, wow, what a privilege this is. This is amazing. So I feel like everybody kind of said this, a lot of the same things, is that we're looking forward to connection and positive communication. And that is just awesome. That's why we're here, right? We all need that. You know, Fredna, she really wanted to connect and learn how to connect with her clients and other people. And Jennifer, she's starting a new position also in a wellness field, being in the HR department and bringing mindfulness and mental health into a wellness program. It's what's needed right now. So very exciting. Woohoo.
Beautiful, yeah. And in our group, there are lots of great things were shared. I really want to highlight Leslie, who has been taking time daily for people to come together as a pause point in her community and amongst her colleagues. So people are starting in the most simplest way to practice these things just by, hey, let's get together for 10 minutes or 20 minutes every day just to check in with each other. So we're going to keep going along here. Bill, I'm glad you're here, man. And I'm going to keep plugging along. So mindfulness, as many people know, is this inherent human capacity. It's something that we all have the capacity for. It's both a process and an outcome, and we very much focus on process. It's a way of being, and it's about attending to our experience in a particular way, intentionally, in the present moment, with curiosity, acceptance, and kindness. This is a quality, a capacity that we all have, and it's something that we can all cultivate. It's also a practice. So when you see all this stuff out there about mindfulness, a lot of people focus on the practice of it, daily meditation, getting in touch with our mind-body system with an anchored awareness using the breath. So that's the most recent definition of mindfulness. Having been doing this work for a while, I'm going to give you the older definition, which is that it's a process for establishing the distinction between the observer, what we call the inner guardian, the witness, observer consciousness, and what's observed. It's through the realization of the transiency or the impermanence or the fleeting nature of all mental content. So as you develop this observer-observed distinction, you start to see everything is just coming and going. Everything, all your senses and emotions, to the point where finally, if you're continuing in the practice and the process, that there's almost a disappearance of the mental content altogether. That is the whole purpose of mindfulness in its true original teaching is about strengthening the observer. That's it. It's about being able to sit in that centered place and just see it happening and let it go. Just like they say in the movie Frozen. That's where that all comes from, by the way. She was a Buddhist. The other benefits of mindfulness, being calm, physical health, stress reduction, which our Western culture focus on, is trivial. That's all trivial stuff, folks, right? If you're focusing on doing this stuff to have less stress in your life, you're missing the freaking point. Okay, good. So, why interpersonal mindfulness? Well, in our culture, wellness is often cognitivized. It's like in your head, there's an app for it, a metric, health risk assessments, exteriorized. It's all this, we call it McMindfulness, and I've written about that. It tends to be in the culture masculinized, like, here, use this app, right? Use this tool, this technology, we're gonna get through this. But there's also a feminine side to interpersonal mindfulness, which is about the importance of relationships and the importance of social, emotional, dynamic, process, interactive, moment-to-moment paying attention to what's going on with other people, especially my wife, which is why I keep doing this, because I need this a lot in my own life. So what are we talking about? Healthy social interaction leads to well-being. Now, I have so much research here. I'm going to go through this really quickly. If you don't believe the importance of interpersonal mindfulness and its relationship to well-being, send me a question, but here we go. Talk about research. Low coworker support correlates with depressive symptoms in 6 different organizations. Employees who feel treated well at work have less mental health problems. 29,000. 5-year predictive study. Exposure to workplace bullying predicted mental health problems. Employees who experience coworker support experience less emotional exhaustion. That was in a blue-collar study. 2-year predictive study. Exposure to sexual harassment predicted psychological distress. And perceived coworker support was found to be inversely related to the presence of inflammatory markers, right, in a sample. So again, this is just a small sample, but the research is very clear. The more that we feel connected, the more that we feel we can connect, the more that we have the opportunity to practice interpersonal mindfulness, we're going to be healthier. Silver bullet. Part 3, self-assessment. Here we go. You're going to do another assessment and you're going to do a breakout. So you're going to meet with your wonderful facilitators here. Remember, interpersonal mindfulness is a process. Don't get caught up in thinking, well, I'm not interpersonally mindful, or I'm more interpersonally mindful, or you're thinking right now, your husband needs this. You know, I don't need to be here, but my husband needs this, okay? Let that go, okay? Because it's a process. It's something we all have a strength that we can bring to this process. So this is a quick exploratory, non-scientific survey. When we do the workshop starting next week, we go much deeper and you actually work with each other to practice these tools. These are items from different measures that have been shown to correlate with well-being. So here's your first assessment. Think about this. The first factor in interpersonal mindfulness is presence, which is why Kevin is here, because his dissertation is on presence. So if you have any questions about presence, he's the expert. So ask yourself if this is true. When I am conversing with another person, I am fully engaged in the conversation. Rather than being distracted, it is easy for me to be in the present moment while I am interacting with another person. So think for a moment on whether that's true. So you might be thinking about the last conversation you had where you were paying more attention to your phone, maybe, and doing this rather than talking to other people, whatever that happens to be. So that's the first factor. The second factor, awareness of self and others. When I am with other people, I am aware of my moods and emotions. I am aware of others' moods and tone of voice while I am listening to them. So the second factor is awareness. And I'll be reviewing all of these again. So notice, is this true for you? You would say yes to both if it's true. Awareness of self and others. Third factor, non-judgmental acceptance. When in a discussion, I accept others have opinions different from mine. When in a discussion, I accept others have opinions that are different from mine. So next, for example, if you're having a conversation with somebody who is from the different side of the political spectrum, do you get reactive or can you just accept it? And then I listen carefully to another person, even when I disagree with them. Can you say yes to both? If so, that's non-judgmental acceptance, the third factor of interpersonal mindfulness. The fourth factor for today, again, next week we go into more depth and there are other factors, but non-reactivity. I love this one. This is my favorite one. I think about the impact of my words on another person before I speak. I think about the impact of my words on another person before I speak, or send a Facebook message, or send a tweet. When I am upset with someone, I notice how I am feeling before responding. If you say yes to both, that would be non-reactivity, the fourth factor of interpersonal mindfulness. So we're going to launch a poll here to kind of get this started. And the poll is going to ask you, which of the following do you feel is your strength, right? Which of these do you feel is your strength? So go ahead, and the poll is up. Just select one. Mute yourself if you would, in case. So just which of the following processes do you think is your strength? I am present with others. I remain aware of myself and others. I maintain non-judgmental acceptance. I am non-reactive. Got a lot of people here today, so we've got 65% responding. I'd like to get up to 80 if we can. Hey, that happened pretty quickly. We're there. Okay, 10 more seconds. Wow, 96%. Here's the poll results. So the number one, I remain aware of myself and others, 48% had that as their strength. The next one was 28%, I maintain non-judgmental acceptance. 21%, I am present with others. Whoever said I am non-reactive, I'd like you to send me a private message, we need to talk. I need you. Okay, so that's the first poll, right? So when you go into your breakout room in a second, remember what you said so you can share this with others. So now the other poll before we go in is overall, how interpersonally mindful are you? So here are all the items. And if you quickly look right now, and how many of these do you check off? And I'll read them very quickly. Or think back to what you said, right? So do you have all 8? When I'm conversing with other person, I'm fully engaged rather than being distracted, aware of my moods, aware of others' moods, accept others' opinions, listen carefully, think about the impact of your words, and notice how you're feeling before you're responding. So I'm going to launch the next poll, which is what score did you get? By the way, these are all anonymous. I don't know what you're scoring.
I
So
emailed this, but I can't tape it up yet. I got to put a piece of paper in there.
Gotta mute
Can we
people.
guesstimate what that'll be?
Yep, we can.
See if we can mute all. There we go. Okay, so here's the poll. How many of these 8 did you have? Let's just see what our distribution looks like. By the way, there's no judgment. So if you had 1, I didn't put 0, right? Because I'm assuming at least you had 1 item. So no judgment here. I have 65%. Let's see if we can get up to 80. Again, how many did you respond to? Okay. Beautiful, guys. That's great. So I'm going to end polling and I'm going to share results. So here you can see that the majority, if you will, 33%, not the majority, but if you look at 33, 44, 40, 50% had 4 or less. So that's important. You have 4 individuals who rated 7 and 8 who rated 6. So that's really good. And my hope is that when you go into your breakout rooms, now you'll be able to draw from each other and share which was your strength and what your number was and have that conversation. Kevin, can you share quickly? We have only a little bit of time, but have at least you share and then we'll move on.
Yeah, just real quick. I mean, hearing how, some of us, Julie was sharing how even with her own challenges around having to have brain surgery to remove, a part of her brain, and the challenge of having to engage in that with those personal, physical, limitations. And, it was something that I think really spoke about this last one to me.
Thanks, Julie. I'm so glad you're here. So the last part, we're going to go pretty quickly. I do like to have you share with each other. So I'm going to bring up the last part, which are the types. Again, the whole workshop that we start next week goes into much more depth on these as well. So they're each core to developing and cultivating that observer. Some people might call them a trait. I like to call them an attraction, but you'll see some traits. I'll give you references and also some self-reflections. This is really about embodying interpersonal mindfulness through some daily practice, having the intention to show up mindfully, fitting those intentions within your work role especially, and what we call monitoring the climate you're with. I think you've already seen that whether or not the climate you're in is mindful, right? So when you're practicing mindfulness, and Bill, this has to do with workplace climate, an interpersonally mindful person can influence the climate and the culture around them. So the values clarifier, so you're going to listen to each and you're going to try and figure out which one am I. I'm going to go real quick. It's really about a sense of your cause, calling, or legacy, a sense of doing the right things. Your values guide your behavior. You tend to appeal to principles and virtues. Your work is inspired by higher values and purpose. And you time to do self-reflection, balance, and this is key, humility in the service of a higher good. Because your life, your interpersonal mindfulness is imbued with this sense of cause, of calling. I'm here for a higher purpose. I'm going to do the right thing, right? So you could hear some quick books, values-driven organization. So you can see there are some references for each one of you. If you're a values clarifier, these might be references for you to validate. The reflections are, I reflect on my life values, I'm fulfilling my values, I share values of well-being. So that's the values clarifier. The intentional centerer. This is someone who's committed to their regular practice. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Returning to that mindful state throughout daily activities. Able to maintain that observer mindset in business transactions. Access to inner tools to remain centered. And continually mindful of breath, sensations, and surroundings. So, of course, you know, there's so much now out there on this part of mindfulness, but in a conversation, in a relationship, in an interaction, you can sense that people are whatever they're doing, but you'll always hold that center for the group. That's where the intentional centerer is. I practice mindfulness, I stay calm and centered, and I am centered in my interactions with others. The heedful relator, this is someone who has a sense that we're contributing to life, to the happiness of others, ability to access states of compassion, sympathetic joy, and for others, and can apply this sense in these states in your daily routines. You make skillful communication a priority. So it's very much this part of what can I say here that's going to be heedful? And you work at the gut and the heart level. So it's a little bit less in your head and much more paying attention to what's happening in the moment to moment. So here as well, there's lots of tools that are out there for developing the loving kindness that's sort of like the milestone or the cornerstone of the heedful relator. It has to do with kindness, compassion, and having a climate where you support the team relating well with each other. The compassionate nudger is about encouraging in a mindful way. So you're aware of the specific steps to take when approaching others. I would say motivational interviewing is sort of like core here, knows the difference between confrontation and support, always seeks first to listen and gradually engage. You're practicing interpersonal mindfulness and maintain a realistic and sincere tone of encouragement. So this is not cheerleading, right? That's not what this is. So again, you can see some of the work, and I referenced a lot of our tools are around developing this. I know resources for mental health needs, for example, EAP. I'm comfortable expressing my current concerns. I encourage others to get help if they need to. The knower of impact is really about integrity, foresight, and social contagion. Like you see the social network, you know who's related to who, you know, if you say something to this person, they might tell that person, right? You're aware of your perceptual biases, you're aware of the ripple effect, and you know that you can role model and support others in role modeling. And contribution is real important here, and being open to feedback. So here's some book, and one of our books, Heart-Centered Leadership, is around this. So measure your words, aware of your impact, and seeing how your team and leveraging the positive impact that your coworkers or family members have on each other. Garner of trust is this unity thing. It's really dismantle silos, terrain, one team, one vision, trust times purpose equal joy. I'll show you that book. Face-to-face conversation, so Zach's book, The Moral Molecule, we talk about ethical health and building trust explicit. You can count on me. You really can count on me. And I've seen this a lot in the work I've done with the military, where this is such a core piece. Think about what's best, do my best to gain others' trust, and people on my team feel a sense of belonging. The thriver is, you practice resilience, see hidden opportunities and adversity, have patience with negative states, ability to relax ego, and embrace some aspect of spirituality in one work. You know, all stress is just grist for the mill. And here we reference Ram Dass's book, actually titled Grist for the Mill. So if we see everything as grist for the mill, we're more likely to thrive. I experience joy, I'm inspired, and my workplace is exciting place to be. So we're going to do this final poll here, and I'm going to ask you to identify in this poll, where do you think, which is your type? And hopefully we'll have a minute here to take a few minutes to get into your group. Which do you think you are?
It's unfortunate we can only pick one.
Freddie, you can pick two, put it in the chat box. Think outside the box, Freddie. Okay, come on, guys. We have, this is great. Got a lot of diversity. Okay, we're up to 70%. See if we can get to 90 again. This is really great. You guys are so engaged. It's wonderful. So if you want to, put in the chat box who you are so other people can see, because you never know, someone might need you. Put it in the chat box. Who are you? So see, here we have. So we have 5 values clarifiers, 3 hateful relators, and I know who one of them is. 3 compassionate nudgers. I'm going to add myself to that one. 7 knowers of impact. Oh my God. I hope I've been doing, for you knowers of impact, I hope I've been saying the right thing today. Garner of trust. 3 of them. 1 intentional centerer. It's probably the same person who is non-reactive. Who are you? And then the thrivers. 3 thrivers. So put it in the chat box. I'm going to go into the breakout rooms again. It's going to be a very quick here, and you'll all get a chance to share. When you start getting into this material, you realize that there's so much, right? That there's this whole landscape of work to be done. And the whole point of this is to help us tap into that and support each other in that. So this is really meant to be experienced with others in a group, right? I'm going to share the last couple of slides here, and then we'll have enough time for just a quick discussion. So the whole idea here is that if you have a chance going back, we're not going to have time now, unless you want to put in the chat box. Here's some things. Which of the 7 is most important for society right now? That's a conversation that we could have. Which is most important for you and your community, your family or workplace right now? And which is most important for you? So we'll come back to this if we have time, and I will spend additional time today for those of you who want to stay, and we can have this discussion. But the whole idea is applying these types, applying the process. Your action steps are to explore this in more depth, focus on one of the 7 embodiments to cultivate, read, and practice. You'll have these slides. This is being recorded. That is, so you can check out any of the books or resources and consider a book club. You may also have a book that you think really relates to this. So please share that as well. If you have a book that you've thought about, go ahead and type that into the chat box. So it's really about going through this other door, right? It's really about going through it, right? It's not about being on one side or the other. Okay, it's not about taking sides, and that's what we're trying to do. So our workshop series, very quickly, it starts next Thursday at 12 Eastern, so you can bring your peanut butter and jelly sandwich if you want. It runs for 4 consecutive weeks. It's only 1 hour. You get more depth, you get the recordings, and you have a buddy assignment. You register here at bit.ly/mindful_you and me. the pricing is $169, but because you came today, or because you're listening to this, when you go and register, if you enter this discount code, it's 1YOU 2 ME 3 we. There's a hidden message there. You, me, we. 1, 2, 3. Hip, hip, yippee. 1, 2, 3. You, me, we. Okay. Scholarships are available. If you know someone who would love to come to this, or you have a team member, we are offering scholarships so people can attend for $50, $75, or $100. So if you break that down, you know, with the discount, $129, that's roughly $30, $35 for each session. So I'm going to stop sharing this. I'm going to open it up for people to share any comments they have, going back to our facilitators, see if there's anything else questions or comments.
Yeah.
See,
I
this
think
is Joel nudging. This is Joel nudging by silence. FYI.
Yeah, it's so good to like get these introduced, because I feel like to have all the knowledge of this, but to really like understand it and then being able to apply it, I feel like you really do need like an ongoing learning experience and something with a supportive community to do that. So I guess what I'm saying, being someone that's actually exposed to this framework of interpersonal mindfulness for the first time today, I feel like this is so much good information. I need to work on this so I can get it going in my life, you know? So.
Great, Kevin. Yeah, that's exactly right. We need to build a community. Any others? Any other comments? Questions?
I'll always jump in. I like breaking the ice. Yes, we do need to build a community. And Joel, you and I know that we've got a bigger community out there with NWI that we can tease in. But I also think that if we mindfully thought about 5 people that we could invite to take a look at this, it would be a really great thing to help us grow.
Thank you, Julie. I really appreciate that. I think that's why we're offering the scholarship, right? That's why we're, you know, if you have a team, contact me. If you think, hey, I'd like my whole team to attend, we'll work out a deal, right? Kind of discount for a team, because it's really meant to be experienced that way, you know? So thank you, Julie.
Yeah, one thing I noticed, I think in the breakout sessions, and we all kind of feel it, like we're a little bit of everyone, like you can connect with all of them. But I really feel like, you know, during the mindfulness session, that 4-hour session, you'll really gain a better understanding of each one. Not that we want you to be in a box, nobody's in that box, but you'll get a greater knowledge of all of them, and then really see yourself really gravitate towards one. And Joel and I always talked about this too. There's always kind of that gray side to everyone, each one of these too. So you learn about yourself, how you communicate, but also ways that maybe you're getting taken advantage of, or you're not communicating well. And that can actually help you build yourself up and build the way you communicate and with others. So it's really not to be missed.
Yeah, I'll come clean. As a compassionate nudger, there's been more than one time in my life where people have turned to me and go, I don't need your help. Right? So there's a shadow side to each of the ones, if you can imagine, right? So I've had to learn how to dial it down a little bit in my life. And those of you who are therapists and social workers may have some sense of that as well. So I know we're at our time, but I do want to comment on something that Kevin said. You know, Cynthia knows this, I love music. I love lyrics. I'm a big lyrics person. And I have my own fantasy about this. And there's a song by the band, the band called Right as Rain. And the lyric goes like this: while the world outside grows even more insane, being with you, I feel no pain. True like blue, right as rain. And that's my fantasy, right? Because the world outside, folks, is growing more insane. So think about joining us, having a little bit of sanity with your peanut butter and jelly sandwich.